grab a seat, sip some wisdom, and stay a while. This is the Prosperity Lounge, where growth gets personal.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Prosperity Lounge, where hope meets freedom and growth gets personal. I'm your host, Joey Ruffalo, best-selling author, business growth strategist, and founder of the Prosperity Lounge community, where we talk about money, mindset, community, and making a difference. What does real leadership look like in law enforcement today? Not just enforcing laws, but leading people, building trust, and serving with integrity. Maybe uniting a community. Because being a sheriff isn't just about wearing a badge. It's about setting the tone for what leadership looks like across the entire county. So every week we pull up a seat for conversations that inspire growth in business, in life, and in leadership. And tonight we're talking about leadership that shows up. Leadership that serves with integrity and builds stronger communities. My guest knows a thing or two about that. He's a proud University of Tennessee alum, a former Vol football player. I'm wearing my UT orange for tonight. Our Big Orange Friday, and a longtime law enforcement officer and now candidate for Knox County Sheriff, Brent Gibson. So let's pull up a chair and welcome Brent to the show.
All right. Thanks, Joey.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here, Brent.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Appreciate
the call.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and have you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself to everyone.
All right, so I'm Brent Gibson. I came here in 1992 to play football at the University of Tennessee, a scholarship athlete. But a little bit before that, my dad was in the United States Army, so I grew up all over the United States. My parents are originally from Western North Carolina, but I was born in Fort Jackson. And then we shortly moved after Fort Jackson back to Virginia, Fort Belvoir, and then down to Texas, Fort Hood. Then went across seas over into Germany in Hanau, and then back to the United stateside to North Carolina at Fort Bragg, and then just for a short stint, and then back to Fort Belvoir, where we spent the last 9 years of my dad's Army service in Virginia, Northern Virginia. Up there, I attended Hayfield High School until the 10th grade year, and then I moved to Western North Carolina, where I finished out my high school career. And that's what brought me to Tennessee. Is I was recruited heavily by a lot of SEC and ACC schools, and had pretty much my choice of where I wanted to go. And a guy by the name of Heath Schuler I played against in Western North Carolina, Bryson City. Very good quarterback, as you know, but he was the biggest kid on the team, on his high school team, and they were a 1A school, and he was a man amongst boys, I'll tell you that. And so he was already over here at UT, and I was dead set on going to Florida State. Bobby Bowden was unbelievable. He, awesome coach and an even better guy. So he said, "Why don't you come over to UT, check it out? And if you don't like it, you don't have to come." So they came. I came over, saw the facilities, fell in love with the place, and then above that, my mom fell in love with Johnny Majors. Mm-hmm. So he's a real man of many words, and God rest his soul. But had a great time at UT. Played a lot of football, learned a lot of things about leadership and what to do and not to do. Some of what to not to do might come up later, but we had a great time over there. Joined the police force shortly after I graduated in 1999 is when I actually joined the Knox County Sheriff's Office. I started out in courts. Shortly thereafter went to the academy and then went to patrol. Started off on a DUI shift for the first 5 years of my career. Worked straight nights for almost 5 years straight, and had a blast. Learned a lot about DUIs, traffic stops, drug interdiction, things like that. The invaluable stuff that most guys didn't get a chance to do because they were out humping calls. And So from the DUI shift, I went to patrol, quickly became an FTO, started training other officers, and then made sergeant. From sergeant, went to lieutenant on patrol, and from lieutenant, became a shift commander as a captain on patrol. In 2016, the sheriff at the time, J.J. Jones, asked me to move over to training. So I took over training from 2016 until right before I retired, and pretty much trained every officer at the department, the new and the old, in service through the academy and those things. In the meantime, I joined the SWAT team, tried out for the SWAT team, made the SWAT team, worked on the SWAT team for about 20 years, and then in 2018 took over as the SWAT team commander. So had a great career, loved every second of it. More than anything, loved the guys and the girls that I worked with. Had a great opportunity to do a lot of good things with a lot of different agencies. Got a chance to go to the FBI Academy in 2015. Met a whole bunch of people. It's a great networking deal where you get a chance to see all the departments in America.
Wow.
And meet all those people. So, when we go on vacation, sometimes I'll call up an old an NA buddy. Nice. and go hang out with them. So it's pretty neat. We have a great time there. My wife is also law enforcement. She spent 20 years herself at Knox County before moving up to Sevierville PD, where she's a patrolman up there. She was a lieutenant.
They had a busy weekend, didn't they, this past weekend?
They did. Thank goodness we were out of town.
Right. My goodness.
Yeah, I've never seen that many people at one gas station in my entire life. Man. But, luckily things didn't get too out of hand. So, right. But, yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you all for your service.
Appreciate
your family,
it. Thank you.
Especially military.
Yeah.
Military brat, I guess, growing up.
I definitely was. Grew up on all the military bases
sure.
in the United States.
I want to quickly get back to your recruiting process. We've had a couple athletes in here before. We had Patrick Green, who's the goalie on the UT hockey team.
Okay.
Ice hockey team. And then we had Caitlin Ryan last week, who played softball at UT.
Right.
And we talked a little bit about their recruiting process. Obviously, nowadays it's a lot different. You said you had your pick of schools.
You're right.
Do you miss that you didn't get a chance for nil money?
Yeah. So so that would have been nice.
Right.
But it was against the rules. You couldn't even accept a hamburger from anybody back then. And it's nuts. Somehow we made it on Mom's $40 that she sent, via snail mail, and back before cell phones and everything else. So they took very good care of us over at UT. We didn't want for anything. I mean, we lived right there, and the cafeteria was downstairs. And everybody that went to school with me, grew and loved Gibbs Hall and the training facility. And we had class right across the street, and then our stadium was a block away. So that's one of the big reasons that brought me to UT. The facilities were amazing. There's a bunch of facilities around the United States that were very nice, but UT was kind of a home. It was in the mountains here. I'm a mountain boy anyway, so it reminded me. I'm only an hour and a half away from my mom and dad at the time, so I'm a big mama's boy. Everybody that knows me knows that. So it was nice to be close to home anyway.
So I want to start off by talking a little bit about leadership. So you, football field, Neyland Stadium, you're out there, front lines of the football game, to the front lines of law enforcement. What does leadership mean to you, and how has that definition evolved through those different experiences? Right.
So leadership. There's many different kinds of leadership. So the leadership that really impressed me the most were. So I had a position coach when I first got here, Coach Fulmer, who turned into my head coach, and he'd done it before. We followed in his footsteps. He was on the gridiron before we were, so he was speaking everything he was speaking from personal experience. And it's hard to have somebody tell somebody else what to do if they haven't done it before. So one of those things, and that's kind of the reason that I got back into coaching is, if I'm not the one that's gonna try to lead our youth, our young men back from stray, and then get them on the right plane so they can go down that road and make a great living for themselves and be great fathers and husbands and everything else. You try to show them the way, and I had that in college and in high school. Every coach that I ever had was not only a good leader, but he led by example. He was. Every chance he got to get off the field and go home and spend time with his family, he did. And the same thing with law enforcement. If you don't, your family's first, no matter what. And if you don't make time for them, they're not going to be there very long for you. So giving back to these young men at the high school level now is kind of what fulfills that need in my leadership roles. And those kids respond really well to the old school way of coaching. Coach Fulmer was not he didn't wear kid gloves, let's put it that way. He was in your face and said some very disturbing things at times, but it was a great motivator. And I kind of take that style of coaching and leadership. I'm not a rah guy, and I'm not gonna do any of that stuff. But you mess up, I'm gonna tell you, and I'll hold you accountable.
Yeah, it's great. There's so many different leadership styles we've learned throughout the weeks on this show. The lead from the side, lead from the front, lead from behind, 360 leadership, motivational leadership, crack the whip leadership. They all got different, they all work in different settings, sure. I guess, for how it works. But, it's just finding what works for you and what people are going to gravitate around you, because you can get everybody to follow you, you get the right people to follow you.
Right.
Sometimes it's just not having the right people. It doesn't mean you have to get the quantity, you get the quality.
Yeah, you got to get everybody. You got to reach out. Some people are not, they don't learn the same. So everybody, what motivates you may not motivate me. So I got to find a way to motivate those people that don't have the same motivation sometimes as it's easier to get from somebody that, listen, I can scream and yell at you, and that may motivate you, but that's also intimidating for another person, and it doesn't do well. So, I'm all about, listen, this is our goal. These are the things we got to work towards. Help me help you get there. And being a coach and playing sports all my life and doing the things that I've done, both on and off the field, have taught me valuable lessons in, leading a lot of people. So, at a very young age, I became a supervisor on patrol. Oh. And, I was leading, 20 to 25 young men. And, they were hanging on every word that I was saying, because sometimes it did mean life or death, what am I going to do now, Sergeant? That kind of thing. So, you can't take it lightly. All you can do is prepare yourself and be as prepared as you can be for what's about to happen. And you never know, especially in my profession, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So some of the things we learn about is discipline, teamwork, and accountability. We hear that in sports. We hear it in service as well. How do some of those translate to your leadership philosophy?
Well, just like I said, we'll lay a goal out there. We'll decide as a team on how to get there. We'll come up with a game plan, and then we'll follow that game plan as close as we can until we have to change something on that game plan. If somebody's not pulling their weight, we got to hold them accountable and make sure they're doing their part. Yeah. And you get that a lot in my profession. It's people get a little burned out, or they sometimes they're just not in it. And that leads to complacency, and complacency leads to death. And we don't, that's one of the things that, we just can't afford in our line of work,
Absolutely.
So
like UT fans in general, and the greater community here, I've found, knows that what it means to represent something bigger than yourself, right? It's not you, it's the school, it's the institution. It's not, you're not bigger than the entity. How does that mindset carry over into public service? The reason I got into law enforcement is I wanted a teamwork feeling. In law enforcement, it's kind of the closest thing you can get to where you're working with a team, and you got set goals. You're not playing a game,
but it's almost like a game. You're trying to figure out how to outsmart some of the criminals and doing some of the things that, and at the end of the day, who's victorious in trying to get that done. It's not always the biggest, the strongest, the fastest guy that wins the game. It's the guy that studies and strategizes. I mean, I played with Peyton Manning. I mean, obviously doesn't run the fastest. He probably does have the strongest arm I've seen in a long time. But I played with Heath Schuler, who could throw from his knees 70 yards, which is absolutely crazy. So, he didn't have the strongest arm I've ever seen.
Wow.
And physical ability, that's not why he won. He won because he studied so hard. And, I mean, I wish I had half of what he had and realized what it would do for me at that young age. I didn't realize that until later on in life.
Can you tell us what Omaha means?
He didn't use that in college.
No. Knoxville.
Knoxville, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what stands out for me a lot is that leadership isn't about titles.
Right.
I've been learning that myself a lot lately through the guests and changing my own perspective on a few things. It's about trusting the people that are around you, and trust starts out long before you wear a badge or hold a title. And something you've said is that leadership is about service, not status.
Right.
In your role, in your campaign, and full disclosure, Brent's running for sheriff next year, Knox County Sheriff. And so in your role, in your campaign, and in your life, what does that look like in practice, that service, not status ability?
Right.
Yeah.
So the service thing, so I come from a family of service. My dad's a Vietnam vet. Spent 26 years in the military. He was serving the United States of America. I mean, in the time he spent overseas and doing the things away from his family and things like that, it kind of, it was bigger than him. He was serving something bigger than him. And all my time at the sheriff's office is the same way. I'm serving something that's bigger than me. It's bigger than my beat partners. It's bigger than my bosses. We're trying to make Knoxville safe, trying to make Knoxville great. Improving everything every day. And that's kind of the goal of every police officer. We know that not every day is going to be exciting. We're not going to have a car chase or do those kind of crazy stuff every day. But it's about the little things you do. You go to a house and you help out a child that needs something. Say that the child hadn't eaten or whatever the case may be, and you help that kid out and help that family out. And that's what makes the difference. And that's the people remember that. And I think we have a good. The men and women in the Knox County Sheriff's Office and those in corrections, they have great hearts. And they're people of service. And one of the hardest jobs at the sheriff's office is that corrections job. Man, you got to sit in that place, and it is not a desirable place to be. But those people do a great job of trying to rehabilitate the inmates in that jail. So,
yeah, I don't envy you guys. You guys have a tough job in law enforcement. My gosh.
When at least we get paid a whole lot, right? So let me tell you a little bit about that.
The big bucks. Yeah.
So in 1999, the first year of service, I made $18,000 in 1999, and I'd have done it for free, because it was so much fun, and I had such a good time. Obviously, I had goals and aspired to be something else, and made way more, a whole lot more money, later on in my career. But starting out at $18,000 was
righteous bucks.
We could do all kinds of stuff with that. Fortunately, I lived in a apartment that was paid for. I was a courtesy officer. I had side jobs, so I had a little extra money on the side on my days off and things like that. So we made it work. Me and my wife were both cops, so we were, we struggled through parentship. If it wasn't for my mother, Mimi, is what my kids call her. If it wasn't for her, man, shout out to Mimi. She passed in 2014, and well, you talking about the sweetest woman that ever walked the earth. She was a gentle giant. She was about 6'1", 250 pounds. Yeah, that's where I got my size from.
You don't want to get on her bad side.
Yeah, don't mess with Mimi.
Wow, that's awesome, Brent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about community for a second.
Sure.
That's a big word. Trust in community, especially with policing nowadays. I think we've seen a little bit of a turnaround in a sense, but not the type. Yeah, I don't want to delve into politics too much, but there was a time where, I think there was a reverence for police force and policing, and then a disconnect with what goes on, and then a somewhat okay, we kind of get it, but we're still going to we're still watching you. We're going to be watching you with a watchful eye.
Right.
And that trust is a big factor in all of that. How do you rebuild trust, and how do you keep it once it's earned?
Right. So this is and I think it's one of the easiest things to do, because we did it when I was a young cop. So, you go into your communities, and we assign everybody a beat. So your beat's a pretty large beat. So you got, sometimes several square miles that you're covering, and you go out there and you make acquaintances with those people. Most of the time, you run the same beat for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time, and rotate shifts from day, evenings, and night. But it's the same people that live out there and work out there. So go by and see those small business owners. Introduce yourself. Give them a card. Hey, if you need anything, my number's right there on that card. Give me a call or text me if you see something out of the ordinary. Now they can put a name to that badge. And you seem more human now.
So
yeah.
Working the beat necessarily isn't like
right.
You're patrolling and you're sitting there going, you're not just sitting around waiting for something to happen. You got to be proactive
Right.
instead of reactive. Learn the community, learn the people
Yes.
there, learn that they can trust you. But then there's also part of that trust is showing up when called for.
Absolutely.
And reacting how they expect you to react to keep that trust going. You can say
Sure.
one thing, but it's just like, whatever, don't show up or take your time or don't follow through on certain things. That's where it can get a little murky with keeping the trust. But you got to earn it first and going out there and really making the acquaintances. And it's probably going to be tougher in some neighborhoods than others, for sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But you got to work at it. If they see you working at it and see that you care, people are going to be more willing to sort of, I don't want to say police themselves, but cooperate, because they're living in that neighborhood too, and they want that neighborhood to be safe.
Well, they're going to hold themselves and other neighbors accountable for
Absolutely.
their actions.
Absolutely.
So, you go out there and you meet all the people in those neighborhoods. They don't have to like you. They don't even have to respect you. They just got to know that you're there and you're going to come when called on. So those people in those communities, most people in your community are good people, and they want the same things you do. So, there's not a I hate to say a bad community. There's more crime-ridden communities than others, but there's good people everywhere. And who knows those communities better than the people that live in them themselves?
Right.
So if I meet those people in those communities that are having troubles, and let's say their cars are getting broken into, they got some burglaries or whatever the case may be. If I know those people in the communities, they feel safe in coming to me and talking to me, and we have a relationship. So now, if one of those people call, I really want to know what's going on. Even if I'm not working, I'm going to help the next guy that's running that beat when I'm not running it. Hey, listen, I know I'm not working tonight, but you're working. Could you run by and check on, Mike? He's over here in such and such address, and he's having this kind of problem. And that's what police work's all about. And you pass that along to your beat partner, and your beat partners are like, hey, man. And then when they get there, hey, my beat partner told me that, and yeah, we're good friends, and he's a great guy, and he comes around, and that holds everybody accountable. So, it starts at the basic level of meeting the people in your community and then treating those people like people.
Absolutely. So law enforcement, like you just said, it's about people first. It's about treating people. It's about getting out there. How do you keep morale high while still demanding accountability from your officers, or how will you do that?
Well, so morale, it comes in several different ways. We've talked about money. So money is a big, listen, money's not everything, but money helps. Money's nice when when you need it. So, we're going to have to figure it out. Our pay scale has been the same kind of pay scale for a lot of years. I don't want to get into that, but we're going to have to change that. The benefits that we get there, we pay way too much for insurance. We need to figure something out there. My wife, when she moved departments and went to Sevierville PD, her insurance is $40 a month. and I was paying over $500 a month for family insurance. So let's figure it out, man. Is that the department, pitching in on that? I'm sure it is, but we got to figure that out. So it's not only in monetary raises and, raising their salaries, but raise those benefits up a little bit. $500 a month is a lot of money to folks. I mean, to anybody.
Yeah, because if you're starting off with somebody who's brand new, and it's any company or business is the same thing. It's the cost of, I don't say cost of acquisition, but cost of training and getting somebody ready to go. And then if you're not able to keep them longer and they move somewhere else, somebody's getting a well-trained officer or well-trained business person on your dime. Yeah, they don't have to put the money into training them, and you're putting all that money out going, oh, we're just training them for the next person, sending them off to some other departments.
I've trained, since 2016. I've trained every academy there, so I know better than most how many people stick around and how many don't. Wow. And the retention level is we have a pretty high retention level. There's no doubt about that, but. People, the grass is always greener on the other side. We're one of the biggest law enforcement agencies in Tennessee and the biggest in East Tennessee. So we have more people than a lot of other departments do. Our pay is very competitive, but it's still below most of the major departments in this area. So. Retention, we got great equipment. We got all the nice toys for everybody. We issue everybody their own weapons. They ain't got to buy those. We give them uniform allowances and those kind of things. But there's always more that you can do. And the more things that you can offer somebody to keep them around, the better off you're going to be. But like I said, the grass is always greener on the other side. If you train them, we no longer have a pension, and we got to change that. The state has a pension that we need to check in on and see about that. So
now you're talking about training officers. I had a question in the chat for you.
Sure.
Will Brent and his team do better at sporting clays next year? They came in last place this year.
Hey, listen, sporting clays is not real shooting. I probably could have shot those sporting clays better with my pistol, but I did buy an over and under, so I am practicing. So watch out next year. I'm going to get you. Believe me. I did have a guy on my team that came in last, and he actually got a trophy for the last place. We're very proud of him.
I can picture you in the middle of this thing, shooting the shotgun, and just be like, take out the pistol.
Yeah, listen, I'm very proficient at a pistol. Listen, Glock is my middle name.
Oh, man. A little serious question before we take our little quick intermission here. But
sure.
If elected, what are your top priorities for your first 90 days to make a visible impact in Knox County?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to do, and I've already mentioned it right off the bat, is we're going to look into the pay scale, first of all right, and then our benefits as far as insurance goes and pension, all right, and then after we look at those three things, let's get back to the grassroots of police work. And I'm not talking about anywhere. I'm talking about anywhere in the county. So the county, it comes down into the city. Let's do a better job of being visible in our communities. And does that mean more police officers? Does that mean more patrolmen? What does that mean? Does that mean we're moving somebody from, so they are visible? Because we have, over 1,000 employees at the Knox County Sheriff's Office.
Wow.
And, right now, we got, 25, 26, 27 on patrol. We have a traffic unit and some other things going on at the same time. And the evening and night shift overlap. So that's when we have the most officers out there, but people are still saying we never see officers. So, let's be more visible and figure out how to do that.
One question I'll have to ask that just came up a couple of days ago in the news, and it affects us out in West Knox County, is the sheriff's department hub or whatever they have over there in Turkey Creek.
Precinct, yeah.
Yeah, precinct. In Turkey Creek they lost their lease.
Right.
So now they got to find another location out in
out
I guess
west.
I assume out in West Knox. They would have to find one close to Farragut and Turkey Creek area. How does something like that affect when you're talking about staffing and you're talking about, getting guys out on patrol, people having to go like further out for certain areas now or trying to find or set up a precinct in different areas. Like, What kind of goes into that a little bit? Because I'm
So precincts are kind of it saves the community from having to drive all the way downtown to get copies of reports and things like that. So if you got an issue, you can drive to the precinct. It's a little bit closer. Mainly, what it does, in my opinion, after being on the street, it gives our cops a safe place to go use the bathroom at night and things like that. So they have paperwork and extra stuff there for everybody, and then a safe place to take your gun off so you can use the bathroom or whatever the case may be. But it is one of those vital things that we got 3 precincts now, and I think that's good. So we definitely need to find somewhere to move that west precinct.
Yeah, and I was kind of shocked, honestly, from just a citizen's perspective, that you guys had to pay rent on a building for it. I just assumed, like, hey, cops of the facility or the management would be like, we welcome having a precinct here. It's going to cut down on the time between calls, especially in a shopping district like that.
Sure.
I was just kind of
and I think they did give us a special deal, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know exactly what went into that.
Sure.
That was under another administration, and I wasn't privy to any of that information. But I'm sure that there is a piece of Knox County-owned land or a building somewhere in the west, and maybe even it's a business owner that more than welcomes us in and gives us a little piece of their place or something like that.
You heard it here first, everybody out in West Knox County. Contact
Got a lot of friends here, so we'll make it happen for sure.
Definitely make it happen. All right, if you're just tuning in, thank you everybody for joining us live on 96.3 FM and in YouTube here at the Prosperity Lounge. Some of you might be watching on Facebook as well, but thank you. If you're not, come on over to YouTube, youtube.com at the Prosperity Lounge. Join our live chat. We got about 20 people in here right now. We got a good crowd going on, asking questions, goofing off a little bit, competing to be who's not going to be number one in the chat. There's always a contest going on every week. With
hey, honey, I know she's got to be one of them.
She's definitely in there. So if you're tuning in again, my guest today is Brent Gibson. He's a candidate for Knox County Sheriff next year on the ballot. You can learn more about Brent at electbrentgibson.com. And don't forget, you can catch the Prosperity Lounge every Friday night, like now at 6 o'clock, or stream it anytime on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, everywhere. The replays are put up every Monday, and you can join the free community at theprosperitylounge.com to keep the conversation going. All right, Brent.
Right. Is this mine over here?
That is yours. We are going to get into something when you take a little sip here. We're still live. I said break, but I meant my little call to action, Brent. We're good.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, buddy. You're fine.
Got dry.
We are going to get into something that you and I have talked a little bit about, and I think I got the most, I don't want to say questions about, but like, hey, if you're going to ask him something, ask him about this. And that is, Knox County has gained national attention for being on Patrol Live, which covers, I think it's 9 different departments on Friday and Saturday nights, live in quotations, from 9 to midnight or whatever it is, or 6 to 9. I think it's 9 to midnight. Yeah, I think it's 9 to midnight Eastern. We feature local deputies on national television doing their thing. Some say it's bringing transparency. Others say it's bringing added pressure. Let's talk a little bit about what modern policing looks like today. We don't have to get too much into the production of the show. I kind of want to be more about transparency and modern policing. So we've seen firsthand how cameras, whether they're body cams or TV crews, shape how people view policing. What is your take on that balance between transparency and pressure?
So, big proponent of transparency. I hope to bring the Knox County Sheriff's Office to a unprecedented level of transparency. I don't have anything to hide, never have. I'm an open book. Listen, I make mistakes just like everybody else does, and we're going to make a mistake. We're going to make mistakes as a department, and everybody talks about let's get out in front of it. Well, we shouldn't have to get out in front of it. We should just be transparent and let people know, hey, this is what's going on. We may have messed this up a little bit, but we're going to work hard to do better next time. And it's not going to happen again. And if it does, we're going to hold whoever it is accountable for whatever it is that they've done. So transparency means a lot of things to a lot of different people. That's what it means to me. If asked a question, answer it. It may not be the answer they want, but give them something to go with. Sometimes just talking to a person and you really don't give them any information other than just being there for the person and saying, hey, listen, when I can give you more information, I will, I promise. But just saying we don't have any information and going at that is sometimes not the right answer.
And that goes back to that trust factor we talked about earlier.
Absolutely.
A lot, is being able to trust not so much the action, but also the word.
Absolutely.
Of the person you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Are you going to follow through? Can you
Right.
give me some stuff? Am I just being, a lot of it what you just said too is, am I just being heard?
Right.
Sometimes people just want to be heard.
Right, and that's a lot of it because a lot of times I just want to be heard too, And when I go on my rant and raves to those teenage kids that I'm coaching on the offensive line, I just want to be heard. They don't have to hear me. I just want them to sit there and listen, Yeah. And a lot of times that's what it is. And if we can make people feel comfortable around us, and we don't have to. We don't have to be anything special. We're not, listen, I can't, I don't have a special machine that says, hey, if you elect Brent Gibson, I'm going to make all crime stop. That's not going to happen, and there's always going to be bad people. This professional will always be here. But we can be a bigger part of the community also. The officers can care more about people, and the people will start caring back. I promise you that.
Now, we've seen the show here putting Knox County in a national spotlight.
Right.
Not so much for doing its thing as far as policing goes and stuff, but also the impact on the greater community and the officers' lives themselves. But what kind of impact, and I know you're not in the administration right now or around the show or around
Right.
the production part of it, but as an officer, putting yourself in the shoes of somebody who might be like impacted by this whole experience, or the one leading the department deciding whether or not
Sure.
to continue this, what impact do you think that has on both inside the department and in the community, this national spotlight?
Well, I think it does help in community relations. It gives, although there's not very many officers that are on patrol live, they follow the same few, it seems like, all the time, which is great. But it gives the community somebody that they can relate to. And maybe the next time that they see a police officer, even though it's not the person they saw on patrol live, they see somebody that's there, and they have an interaction with them, and they get the same kind of interaction that the folks on Patrol Live gave, and, which is great, So that helps with our community involvement. It also helps for our recruitment. It brings a new level of humanizing the officers, because they're just people, and you can see that on Patrol Live. Those kids are just kids, a 26, 27, 28-year-old kid out there trying to do the best that he can with what he's got and make sure nobody gets hurt. I mean, and I think that's awesome. And, and people look at that and say, hey, I want to be like that guy. I want to do that for a living. So it doesn't hurt in our recruitment and involving the community and everything. So, I think on Patrol Live, listen, I'm a fan of Cops. I grew up watching Cops. I mean, that was my favorite. Listen, if Cops was on, I was watching, so I'm a fan. Yeah, I'm a fan, I'm a fan. And, obviously it would have to, there's some particular things. It's not as live as everybody thinks it is. And there's some things that the department has the ability to delete things and not show some things and things like that. And I think that has to be there for special things. You don't want to run into somebody that's, involved in another case and then you blow that case because they're doing something else. So,
right.
There's got to be that too. So I don't think it's anything but a good thing. I think they pick specific areas for specific reasons, and Knoxville is one of the greatest places on earth to live. I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, there used to be a show before Knoxville. It was on, I think it was on A&E. Can't really remember. Might have been on A&E. It's called Southern Justice.
Oh yeah.
And that was a taped one, but it was up in the Apple. In the Johnson Tri-Cities area.
I remember. Yeah.
We used to watch that when we lived still living in California.
Yeah, it had parts of Kentucky in it and everything. Yeah, it was awesome.
The whole area. And that was great to see, like, at least Tennessee get a little bit of love. So we were excited when When Knox County got on this one, I was like, ooh, hopefully you don't show too. I remember the first episode we watched when Knox County was on. It was somebody had stolen an inflatable Santa Claus, and that's what they were tracking down. I was like, beautiful. This is great.
Awesome.
This is all we have to deal with is
Listen, it's a
Santa
bigger
Claus robberies.
it's a bigger problem than you think it is. I'm telling you that right now, especially in West Knoxville. People
sure.
steal those ornaments.
There's always a risk when live policing happens, whether it's on TV or with the body camera situation. We've seen on one of the episodes, one of the officers, Dalton Swanger, get massively hurt on
real
on
good
live
guy.
TV.
Went through one of my academies. He's a super good guy.
Yeah. One of the questions that came in from Reddit was they really wanted to know how he's doing. If you had any information, how he's been and how he's recovering, and and then how are they handling this type of national exposure?
Yeah, so he's doing really well.
Good to hear.
Yeah, so he was in a coma for like 3 days, and he had a lot of. But we text every now and again. We've been close ever since he went through the academy. So he's a great guy. I reached out to him when I heard and didn't hear back from him for a few days, and I got kind of worried, so I was calling. And they kind of kept me updated because I've not been out that long, and all these guys that are on patrol and on patrol live, I've trained. They've been in my academies, so I kind of know everybody there, and I trained at least 65% of those guys that are on patrol right now, and then everybody else has been through the in-service. So a special relationship with everybody. We had our retirement shoot last weekend, and just the older guys that come back with me, and I can't believe I'm one of those older guys now, but some of the stories that we shared and some of the things that we did to our training, the supervisors that are over training back when we were there, it just doesn't go away. I mean, it's that's what I miss. I don't know that I miss the job as much as I miss being around those people and having a similar goal, and fighting the good fight together. So and that's the same thing I miss about football. I miss the guys, and I'm lucky enough, man. We're having a tailgate tomorrow. All the VFLs are coming back in down at the indoor facility, and I can't wait to see these guys. And you play with there's over 100 people on the team every year, so you're playing with you see hundreds and hundreds of guys come and go through your career in college football, and it's something special. Everybody's got something similar in common because you played on the same football field. So. And it's the same way in police work.
So speaking about training,
sure,
and getting back to the transparency and the camera situations and things like that, is that something that is part of training, how to deal with scrutiny or how to deal with that kind of exposure and how to deal with
absolutely
scrutiny and preparing them for without losing focus or compassion? Obviously it's a new element to things that they have to deal with. So training them on like body cameras being on and like.
Well, so Joe, we've been doing this since 2015.
Okay.
Is when we went 100% body cameras.
Sweet.
Not necessarily 100%, but every patrolman had a body camera, and anytime you're in contact with anybody, a civilian in public, you have to have it on. So we've been doing that. We're pros at it now. It's been over 10 years, we still mess up every now and again. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes our body camera may misfunction or whatever. But the good thing about it is everybody's wearing one. So if there's more than one officer there, the other one's going to have backup. So it's something that we've always had. I had it when I first came here in 1999. We had video cameras in our DUI cars. We were the only ones that had them, but we had them because, listen, the evidence in court is way too good for you not to have a camera in your car when you're dealing with an intoxicated person on the side of the road. So, I've been doing it since the beginning of my career.
Speaking of intoxication is one of the things now as new drugs become into the scene, like fentanyl has exploded.
Right.
Probably was nothing a while ago. You're training people, you're seeing this stuff happen, this explosions of new narcotics. Now I think correct me if on this one, they probably are all carrying the Narcan with them.
Yeah, we got Narcan on everybody. Yeah, for
a lot of that training then has to occur additionally than just the regular policing. Identifying mental health, addiction, poverty, things they're coming in contact with. How do the trainers stay abreast of what's new in order to pass that down to officers?
Sure, and just like we do on everything. So, let's take for example, law. Law change every year. We know when the law is gonna change, and it comes out the same time every year. So we know kind of when to look for it. But different techniques and things like that. We get an in-service. We'll pass out emails to all of we'll push out several emails, and and then new training we'll follow up with new classes and in-service and specialized training and things like that. So you got to stay on top of all that stuff, especially if it's something new and really dangerous. We always have people inventing new ways to hide a gun or disguise a gun or a knife or something like that. So you push that out to the people, hope they see it, and then you try to teach it in service, which we have a 40-hour mandatory in-service every year that everybody has to attend. So, and we try to do way more training than that, and interesting training, things that they want to go to, stuff like that. So, the training's a big deal. It's and Knox County does it really well. We've done it really well for years and years. I was very fortunate to be a part of that for many years and have a say-so in, hey, this is the way we're going to do things, and this is how it, people the retention of things is better in this, and this. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about philosophy for a second, policing philosophy. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's still a philosophy, the broken windows philosophy.
Yeah.
The
Makes
approach,
sense to me.
Yeah.
You know about the broken windows?
Small crimes prevent bigger ones.
Exactly.
If you're going to go to a neighborhood and see there's a lot of broken windows, there's crimes that are being committed that aren't being, taken seriously, and that could lead to bigger issues. And that's where you kind of focus the police force to kind of crack down on some of these crimes. Right. You drive around a nice area, essentially, and there's no broken windows. You're not really nitpicking for crime, right?
Right. So you're not in the right neighborhood. So
right.
The broken windows theory is, obviously, if there's a crime committed, the broken windows, and we're not fixing it. So we as cops tend to saturate places that are heavier in crime. So the places that are heavier in crime is kind of where all the cops hang out, and sometimes, that's misconstrued for, hey, they're just picking on a certain race or a certain gender of people or a certain group of persons, and which is not the case at all. We go where the crime is, and we try to figure out what's going on and what's making that crime happen, and then try to figure out a way to stop that crime. And that's what that's all about. It gets a bad rap over the years because it's tied into a bunch of the stop frisk, the whole issues that we've had back in the 2015-16.
What are they, Terry stops, if I remember correctly? I know a little bit.
The Terry stop is good though, yeah. So Terry stop is good. Yeah.
I remember
for weapons. That's it.
Yeah, I remember the whole broken windows policy. I watched Blue Bloods.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where I learned about it mostly.
Yeah, Tom Selleck and his mustache, man. That's a cop mustache if I've ever seen it.
Exactly, he was fighting crime with that mustache for sure.
Magnum PI.
Then you got things like technology changing everything too, like AI is coming in. And I was looking about stuff about AI assisted dispatch, data driven policing, this whole new philosophy and incorporating it into departments around the country and stuff. How do you make sure innovation, or how can you make sure innovation builds that trust rather than replacing human connection?
Right. Well, so the biggest thing we worry about now is stepping on people's personal freedoms with some of those things, infringing on their rights. But yeah, so you can use those things to actually make your community involvement even better. I hate the flock cameras and things like that. It's a real-time view of what's going on right now. And if used correctly and appropriately, the flock cameras are one of the best tools in fighting crime right now in the minute. But there's other things too, facial recognition. All these things cost money. They need training and time, and they play a big role in the future of our business for sure.
Absolutely, that's good stuff, man. We get into our last segment here. We're pushing towards the top of the hour, and this hour went pretty fast. So some good stuff.
Hopefully nobody fell asleep.
No, the chat's been pretty active. People asking questions. I had one question. It was kind of a jokey question. He wants to know who your barber is.
My barber? Oh, yeah, Mandy. Yeah, so my wife's best friend cuts my hair.
Sweet.
Shout out to Mandy's Chop Shop, Halls.
Love it. I had one comment that came in about, let me find it here. Oh, boy. Where'd it go? Oh, the silence on the radio is always great. About the hit and run epidemic we seem to have. Does he plan to do something about the hit and run epidemic we seem to have? I got hit and run. And when I called the police, they wouldn't even come out, had to report it over the phone. It was never investigated, and I ended up paying for it out of my pocket. I was told by the officer when I gave him the tag, even if we tracked him down, we'd have to prove he was driving. It was like they didn't care.
Yeah,
Seeing
so I
more
don't
and
know
more
where
posts
that
about
hit and
this.
run occurred. We're going to respond to every accident in the county. The city doesn't respond to every accident. Now, they do respond to a lot of them. Don't get me wrong. They're not out there not doing anything. But but Knox County is going to respond. And then, we got detectives that are going to pick up those crimes. So those hit and runs are something that, if you get a partial tag or a tag, it's something that we can track down. We may not ever bring charges, but at least we know the vehicle and that vehicle was involved in an accident, and we can at least pressure those people to do the right things, or
Sure.
use our detective skills and interrogation skills to try to get the answers that people want.
And I do have to mention to everybody that our buddies over at Truth Between Lines on YouTube did a whole video about broken windows.
Oh, wow.
So if
Awesome.
Back and watch that.
Yeah,
That's
gotta
our
go see
buddy
that.
Brian Walker over there.
Oh, Brian, he's the man.
He's a good guy, yeah, for sure. He's giving you guff earlier about.
Oh, I
coming to
know.
last
He's
place.
the one. I knew he'd be the one.
he's the one.
Yeah. Well, we was too busy working than getting to the range, especially a shotgun range.
So speaking about the difference between Knox County and Knoxville Police Department, they're two different police departments, but you guys have jurisdiction over the entire county, which includes Knoxville. You can go in there and do stuff, but
Yes.
Knoxville Police Department, just city of Knoxville itself, kind of similar structures, but how they are appointed. You guys are elected.
Right.
Knox City, Knoxville is appointed, serves at the discretion of the mayor. I remember Tom Selleck saying that a bunch of times.
Right, yeah.
When he wanted to retire. I serve at the discretion of the mayor, the pleasure of the mayor. That's what it was.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
How do you keep that current relationship between two? Or what is the current relationship? And then how do you plan to maintain that, grow it, things like that?
Sure. Well, so I know the relationship between the officers are fantastic. I got a bunch of friends that are KPD officers, and love those guys just like we work at the same department. It's there's no difference. But when it comes to bosses and administration, it's a little bit different. So the sheriff doesn't answer to anybody but the people that elected him. Mm-hmm. Paul over at the Chief Noel over at the city, he answers to the mayor, and he serves at the mayor's pleasure. So she's pretty much they have a working relationship, and the sheriff and the mayor, I know, get along. I've seen them. When we had an officer shot back, in October a couple of years ago, they answered calls for us until we didn't need them anymore. And man, there's no better feeling than when you have a police department that's your neighboring police department that will bend over backwards for you. And our relationship between our administrations, I know, is good. Some of the other things that those guys do, they help. We back them up on their traffic stops. They back us up. They come out to the county whenever they need to. We go inside the city and aren't afraid to call them. I know our SWAT teams. When I was over the SWAT team, our SWAT teams work together, and all those guys are, just like brothers. And we have a good relationship, a healthy relationship, and I plan to have that even better. When I get elected, we'll have even more things to relish over, because listen, there's nothing better than two teams working together towards the same goal. And whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or whatever the case may be, everybody knows right from wrong, and let's work towards the right and fight the good fight.
Love that. So we're getting ready to wrap up here. I got a couple questions that came in from the chat and from Facebook and things like that. But I want to get one more question before we move to our Q&A segment here. So paint a picture for us. It's 5 years from now. What do you hope Knox County looks like under your leadership?
I hope that we're not down the list. I hope that we're still at the top of the list of places to live in the United States of America. And that's not because of anything other than our way of life here, being proud Knoxvillians, having a great city to live in, a great county to be in, and nothing else but the UT Volunteers are here. I mean, what else do you need? I mean, you got a great college football and basketball and baseball town. And sorry if I missed any of the other sports. I love them all. But Knoxville's a great place to live, and I want that to be in the top 5, forever. And we're doing a great job on crime here, and we're gonna try to even do better, and fix some of the problems that we're having. Some of the homeless problems, some of the things that they're tougher situations. I mean, it's tough. There's not a set answer how to fix things. So you got to come up as a team, and the county commission and the city council and the mayors have to come together along with the chief of police and the sheriff and figure it out. And I hope to be involved in that. I want to make this place the best place to live in America.
I think that's possible.
I think we're almost there. I mean, it's not. Yeah. I love living here. I don't want to live anywhere else.
No. That's why a lot of us moved here too.
Exactly.
We talk on the show a lot about prosperity. Obviously, it's in our show name, Prosperity Lounge. But prosperity not just being financial, but personal and communal. What does prosperity mean to you, and how do we build a community where everyone can share it?
Well, I'm glad that listen. So it's all about community, and I don't know if you know me. You know that I'm the guy that I coach football, high school football at my local high school. Both of my children, my 2 beautiful daughters, Skylin and Emery, they are something else. And we all go to church at Clear Springs Baptist up there, and Pastor Pratt is amazing, and his staff is fantastic. And it takes a community to raise children, and my community has done that, and they've done a fantastic job. So I'm giving back, and I give back in the ways that I can. I know 2 things. I know how to be the police, and I know football, and that's all I know. So, sometimes those kids that I coach don't like me, but they're going to grow up to be better men, and I'm convinced in that. So yeah, being involved in your community, and just like you are, going to the meetings that you need to go to. If you're worried about, go to a planning commission meeting, go to your local your community meeting, or your business professionals meeting, and check it out, meet people, and see what you can do, what's your niche to give back to your community.
Get off the couch.
Get off the couch. Do something.
Love it.
I like it.
All right, so it's our Q&A segment. I'm going to get some questions that came in. It's one of my favorite Q&A segments. I'm going to say that this Q&A segment is brought to you by Baked by Grace. Have you had Gracie's cookies yet?
No.
Hardin Valley, Thursday nights. Check them out. She's 15 years old now. She has a home baker.
Wow.
Her mom's amazing. They both been on the show before.
No kidding.
She was my first guest.
Awesome.
When she was 14. She's a home baker.
She brought cookies too, huh?
She did.
I'm in.
She did.
I'm in.
That's
you don't get this body by not having a cookie or 2.
I understand. We got to keep up our lineman bodies.
That's
just
right.
in case. So David from Farragut asked, and we can move these on the quick side. What advice would you give to young people considering a career in law enforcement today?
Listen, get your education, and serve where you feel led to serve. Pray about it. It's a big step, and God will lead you in the right place. That's all I can say. I didn't join the police. I didn't join this Knox County Sheriff's Office to stay at the Knox County Sheriff's Office. I wanted to go to the FBI, but I got here and fell in love with it, and saw what they did at the FBI, and I didn't want to sit behind a desk. So, man, I loved answering calls. I loved being around other people. I loved interaction with my community. I loved helping people, and it's addictive. And I got addicted to it, and I stayed at the Knox County Sheriff's Office, set myself some goals, made decent money along the way, and had a great career.
Love that. Renee from Knoxville asks, how do we support our officers while still expecting accountability?
Yeah, so the accountability is going to listen. Supporting our community is great at supporting our officers. Listen, every time I was in a uniform and in a restaurant or they would try to pay for my meal. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of support we get here in Knoxville. I don't have any complaints about the people in Knox County. They love them some law enforcement, and I love them back. I mean, and they do. They help if we need help. They help us. If I had a flat tire one time on my cruiser. I've had a flat tire a lot of my cruiser, but people would stop to help me. The police. I see you got a flat. Can I get? Well, I don't have a tire. I had to get them to bring me one. So, I mean, our community is amazing.
And one last question for you. This is from Mike from Powell, who wrote in. What's one misconception about the sheriff's office you wish the public better understood?
Ooh, misconception. We don't wake up every morning hunting to put people in jail. We wake up in the morning to make a difference in people's lives. And I don't have to take people to jail to be successful at my job. What I do have to do is help people make a difference in their lives to be successful at my job.
I love that. Thank you so much. Great questions, everybody. Appreciate that. Appreciate our listeners, as always, for sending in thoughtful ones. And each week, you can submit your questions anytime at theprosperitylounge.com or message me directly on social media. Brent, thank you for joining me today and for the work you've done serving Knox County. It's clear that your leadership isn't about power. It's about purpose, people, and
Absolutely.
partnership. I love that.
Absolutely.
You can learn more about Brent's campaign and his vision for Knox County at electbrentgibson.com. As always, you can find the Prosperity Lounge on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more, and also at theprosperitylounge.com. Use promo code RADIO to get your free 8-step guide on how to stop living paycheck to paycheck. And that's where growth gets personal and freedom lives. So thank you so much, Brent. Until next time, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay faithful, stay fearless, and remember, freedom lives where faith and action meet. The lounge is always open, and so is your next breakthrough. This is the Prosperity Lounge.
Pull up a chair, the journey's begun. This is where momentum meets the sun. The prosperity